Welcome back to the channel. This game continues the Oakham Young Masters. This is round 4 and Nigel's playing against Gavin Crawley, a British player who would later become an IM. This was as I say, in round 4 after 2 draws and a win. Nigel was looking to push on in the tournament. The game started as a French defence. The Winawer variation. As typical with the French, the queen comes to g4. Hits the bishop. And the white bishop has a choice of either b7 or a6. Nigel chooses a6. And white decides to fianchetto the bishop. Normally white would castle queenside, but in this game Crawley decides that he doesn't want to do that. And black's looking to solidify the f5 square for his knight. Here Nigel decides to queenside castle. Maybe knight to a5, aiming at the c4 square would have been an option. And finally the knight gets to f5. White tries to undermine the pawn chain on the king side. And finally Crawley decides to castle queenside. The last piece comes into the game. And this is actually a mistake and causes white to lose a pawn. A very good move from Nigel. Obviously the bishop can't be taken because of knight takes e5 trapping the queen. So white actually plays the best move to muddy the waters. Nigel accepts the bishop. Another option would have been knight f takes d4. Which is a slightly different variation. But black ends up with a better position than the move played in the game. He's still a clear pawn up and a very nice position. But Nigel takes the bishop. And here plays a very nice move, d4. I mean, if you play knight takes e5 directly, it ends sort of equal position after a few trades in the middle. And there's pressure on the d4 knight. But black is still better, but not by a lot. The move d4 allows black just more space. Obviously, the knight isn't under threat because of the pin on the queen. But now Nigel plays a very nice move to get the queen off the line of the pin whilst defending the c6 square. And now he's threatening to take the knight, which retreats. But now the e-pawn is free to be taken. So black has eventually won a pawn. And obviously queen takes g5 can't be played because of bishop takes e2. I mean, the A8 square with a potentially dangerous check. And then Nigel plays a nice move to simplify the position. The idea is if queen takes queen, which actually is the best move, then knight takes queen. And if bishop takes c6, then bishop takes e2 is winning for black. He's a pawn up, and his minor pieces are in a very good position, and white's knight and a2 is out of the game. I mean, white doesn't have to take the bishop. He can play rook to h, e1, but after the knight drops back, black's still in a very nice position. So white decides not to take the queen, but plays queen takes e2, which again is still not very good, because after the bishop on g2 comes off, there's pressure on the f pawn. So Crawley gets his knight out, attacking the bishop with tempo, which retreats. And then he plays queen to f6, obviously threatening the f pawn and the g pawn. But does allow Nigel to take the f pawn if he wishes to. He doesn't. He plays queen to f3, but I think queen to takes f2 would have been a better option. And after this sort of variation, I think black's just totally winning. He's a piece up, and the game's just over. He chooses to play queen f3, which is not a bad move. It's still hitting the knight, which white defends, and now he kicks the knight. And here Nigel offers the trade of queens, which obviously would be beneficial to him. He may have had something stronger, maybe taking the h pawn straight away with the queen would have been a better option. Obviously white declines the trade and puts his queen on e7, which looks like it's a good square, but it doesn't seem to be doing a wonderful lot. Applying more pressure to the f pawn. And white tries to get some counterplay by getting his knights into the game. Still maintaining pressure on the f pawn. A bit of a strange move from white, obviously getting the king off a line, but I'm not sure what the idea was behind that. And here Nigel plays knight queen to g4. And again, another strange move from white. f3 obviously looks like it's forking the queen and knight, but obviously the queen can just take it. Nigel chooses not to, but if you take the pawn, I think the idea behind white's play is to open some lines for his rooks to try and get some counterplay. But it's never going to be enough. And I think black's just totally winning. Nigel plays queen to g5, which is not a bad move. It still maintains the advantage. And if white takes the queen, the knight recaptures, and black has a very, very nice position. So white chooses to take the knight and go for the rook and minor piece for the queen, which is an interesting option, but again, black should have far too much material to win the game. The e-pawn is quite scary though, and should be kept. White decides to exchange it, which I think with that was his last chance to try and save the game. Kicking the knight and now indirectly threatening the f4 knight as well. So he moves that to try and attack the rook. And here I think, again, Nigel just plays rook to e3, which is perfectly fine. He just gets the rook out of the way, but I think pawn takes knight, knight to g takes 3, and this will be winning due to the rook dropping. Again, he doesn't have to take the rook. He can take the pawn, but after the rook moves, white's just totally winning. He's won another piece. Nigel plays rook to e3, trading off the rook, and the knight is now still under threat, which moves, but unfortunately falls into a fork with bishop to f3. And white must lose more material. He must lose at least a knight. And in this position, white resigns after making the time control. Yeah, black is just totally winning. The queen's going to dominate. And queen to f2 will be played to save the e pawn, and there's nothing for white to do. So Nigel gets his second win of the tournament and moves to 3 out of 4. A good start to the tournament. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the game, and I'll be back with some more from the Oakham Young Masters shortly. Bye for now.